No1 Podcast. I am your host, Coach Jake. Happy to see you guys. Legacy of the Squared Circle. Happy to see you on Instagram. Chance Nichols, Solomon, Bay Cobb, Stu Jitsu. What's up, Stuart? Happy to see you, dude. I hope you guys are doing good today. I want to talk about why sales is the lifeblood of business. I think a lot of you guys are missing out on a real understanding of what sales really means. And I want to change that. As ever, if you guys want to hit me up in the chat, please do so. I'd love to hear from you. If you like what you're hearing, send me a number one. What's up, Stu? So we got Spain in the house already. Happy to see that. I'm out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of those. So you guys can hit me up in the chat and I will engage with you. In the meantime, why is sales the lifeblood of business? And in general, why is sales the lifeblood of any kind of income that you're going to have? Right? So today I want to discuss the importance of sales in the world of business and in life, and how it really is the foundation of any successful company. Right? So let's first talk about the role of sales in a business, right? What is sales? Sales is the process of identifying customers, potential customers, building relationships with them, and ultimately closing deals to generate revenue, right? Because without sales, the business will not survive. I've done a lot of work as a consultant and as a coach with entrepreneurs and their small businesses. And the reason why I got into this is that the number one reason that these businesses are failing is because they're not getting enough sales. It's that simple. No sales, no business. Make sense? What's up, lyrically indigenous? Scott Vade, Todd Butler, Harsh Conqueror. I do the best I can with these names. Silverback, what's up, Morgan? Happy to see you guys. So the most important, a lot of times sales and marketing, they go hand in hand. Because in a very broad, crude way, marketing is getting the leads. A lead is a potential customer for your product or service. So marketing is, how do I get the lead? How do I get their name, their address? How can I reach them? How can I let them know that I exist? Once they know that I exist, then it becomes the job of sales to convert that lead, that potential customer, into a actual customer. Does that make sense? So we can split right along the middle there, sales and marketing, but they are both absolutely critical. What's up, Einzenganger, and to John the Block? Happy to see you guys, Lord Foggy. So some of you might be thinking that, hey, aren't there other aspects to a business besides sales, like operations? And those are 100 operations, marketing, human resources, like all of these are important parts of a business. No doubt about it. But without sales, all of your marketing, even all of your operations, it doesn't matter. How are you going to pay the bills? Because there is a cost associated with doing business. You might have rent at a strip mall. Let's say you're a karate dojo or a martial arts school. You're going to have utilities. You're going to have to pay payroll. And how are you going to do that? You got to sell. You could have the greatest product or the greatest service on the planet, but if nobody is buying it because you are not selling it, then you're not going to make any money and you're out of business, like 90% of businesses in their first 10 years. So how do we ensure that our business will be successful? The key is to always be selling. You have to sell. And anybody who looks down their nose at you or themselves, if you look down on yourselves for being a salesperson, man, you just got to get your head right. Everybody is in sales. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, all those guys are trying to sell you their bullshit. Your kids, they want a cookie. They want a video game. They want a trip somewhere to Disneyland. They're selling. You want to have a romantic night with your wife, or your wife wants to have her. She got to sell. You got to sell. All it is persuasion. Now, I understand there's people who've gotten, sales has gotten a bad rep because there can be scumbags. But guess what? There are scumbags in every arbitrary grouping of human beings. Cops, there are good cops and there are shithead cops. Politicians, mostly shitheads, but there are still some good politicians. Teachers, good teachers, bad teachers. In every group. Salespeople, there are 100% amazing, helpful, articulate, know their product, solve problems, completely ethical and transparent. And then there are scam artist types too. So this is why, in my opinion, it is our job to be true professionals and understand sales. And if you're going to look down your nose, sure, look down your nose at the guys that are unprofessional and doing awful stuff. And I wouldn't even call that sales. That's criminal. That's fraud, what they're doing. Morgan is jumping on the chat. What's up? Morgan says, use tips from Cardone U yesterday from sales, turned one client into a full family package. They came to sign their sign up and ended up signing up the whole family. Dude, awesome. That is so awesome. I'm really, really stoked to hear that. So now, let me check the comments on the other page. Oh, good. Okay. So you've got to be selling. You've got to know how to sell. Do you know all the stages to a sale? Attitude, greeting, fact finding, appraisal, or making sure that they're qualified, product selection, doing the demo. That's just the first part. Do you know how to do trial closes? Do you know how to negotiate? Right? Do you know how to do the write-up? Do you know how to close? Do you know how to deliver? Do you know how to follow up? Because the second sale is easier than the first sale, just like Morgan was talking about here. Although I guess he was doing more of an upsell. Okay? The more you sell, the more successful you will be. You've got to be looking for opportunities. You got to be out there scouting. So I've got two things that I sell. Primarily, I spend most of my time working to sell. That is Catch as Catch Can Wrestling. So I'm reaching out to what I'd call B2C, business to consumer. So somebody, I'm like, hey, come to my camp. I'm a business, you're a consumer. Let me show you this incredible service I have. That's the Coaching Catch program. Now, I also have a B2B offer with Scientific Wrestling, which is, hey, gym owner or even martial arts business person, they may not even need to have a gym. They might just want to do seminars and leverage the brand, Scientific Wrestling, and the curriculum, and sell our products and sell our services and make a commission, make money. So I sell wrestling. The other thing I sell is I sell business training like this, like what I'm talking about now. I train people with sales. Morgan was talking about Cardone University. He is an affiliate because he is an affiliate, a Scientific Wrestling affiliate. Go to scientificwrestler.com. Check it out. All the offer, the value stack. And he threw down his investment. And with that came sales training through Cardone University. That's part of the deal. So he's learning how to sell, and he just upgraded a client from an individual to an entire family because he's training and learning about sales. Okay. The thing you have to understand is selling is not just about closing more deals, though. It really ultimately is about relationships. It's said so much that it's almost cliche, but sales and relationships, it's almost like it should have a different name. It's just everybody knows sales, but it's really about relationship building. People buy from people that they trust and that they like. Do you buy from people you distrust and people you dislike? No. You buy from somebody who you're like, this is a stand-up dude. This guy's going to, everything on the offer, I know I'm going to get it. I trust this guy. And the bigger the ticket item that you're selling, I sell things all the way up in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, like sales training. I'm working on a package right now, sending out an agreement. The higher the ticket, the more what Grant Cardone says is if they don't know you, they won't flow you, right? That's like, he always loves those rhymes and stuff, and those clever mnemonics. But what he means is if they don't know you, if they don't trust you, they are not going to give you their cash. So the way you do that is you actually get involved. You have to be a people person. This is, I think, where most of the times sales actually gets a bad name, because I don't think a lot of people have very good relationship skills. If you are not an honest person and not a caring person and willing to get in people's business a little bit, because it's really what you have to do to help them solve problems, you will not be successful. The most successful salespeople are not the ones that you think, oh, that guy should go into sales. He's so charming and all that. No, it's the people that develop long and lasting relationships with people. That's who sells. People buy from people that they trust and like. It's that simple. So it's important for you to always be building relationships with potential customers. And how do you do that? You help them. Even if they're not your customer now, they might be able to refer you once they understand what you do. So let's say I help somebody out, I'm good with business and money. So I give somebody some advice. They may not be able to afford my services, but they talk to somebody who does. And that person can afford my services and is impressed by how much I change this person's life. Well, holy moly, let me talk to this guy. Then I could start developing a relationship, and we could see if there's trust and friendship built, honestly, right? So you need to kind of really take serious relationship building, because this is how you're going to learn what people actually need, so you can tailor what you offer to solve their problems. That's all sales is. Sales is the ultimate problem-solving endeavor. That's how I like to think about it. Okay? So the other thing in sales is you have to be persistent. Today, I sold a ticket to GrowthCon. And I've been talking to this guy. I met him actually at a Cardone event years ago. But I've been texting and talking to him for over a year. And I got a sale. But what is it? Like, this is a guy, I've taken him out to lunch. We've hung out. I know all about it. He likes Ancient Aliens. He likes so I know this guy. Like, we've become friends. So you've got to be persistent. You've got to be the one that initiates conversations. You've got to be the one that initiates relationships, that nurtures the relationship. Okay? So sales is 100% the lifeblood of business. Without it, you're not going to survive. It is not sustainable. And this is the problem I find when I come in, and I'm like a turnaround guy. I come in and help these businesses. And sometimes it's too little, too late. I come in, I tell them what to do. And I'm like, man, I've done this before. Look at the results I've gotten, but they are too far gone. And they won't do the sales work. So you've always got to be selling. You've always got to be building relationships. And you've got to be persistent, man. You cannot take rejection personally, because not everybody needs your stuff, but nobody's going to know about your stuff unless you tell them. Does this make sense? sometimes I think like the dating world is a great analogy for sales. Like think about persistence. That doesn't mean like hounding one girl or one guy to go on a date. What I'm saying is let's look at numbers. If my particular approach to closing a deal or getting a date, it's all sales. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Because it has to do with human relationships and setting up an exchange, a winner's exchange where both people are happier after the exchange. That could go for dating, that could go for business. Like you like my hat and I like your $60 more than I like my hat, and you like my hat more than your $60. We trade, you're happy because you like my hat more than your 60 and we traded, and I like your $60 more than my hat, we traded. We're both happy. That takes work, like any kind of relationship. But, we've got this culture where people just swipe and ghost and all this. It's not a good way to do business. It's not going to be sustainable because it's based off of trust. And people don't trust people who are looking at everybody else or ghosting people. You've got to be persistent. You can't be taking rejection personally. Like if you want a date or you want a sale, but I'll use the dating metaphor. I've been married 18 years, 17 years, together 18. But if you want to go out with a guy or a girl you need a date for Saturday night, dude, if you talk to 100 people saying, hey, you want to go out? Maybe only 10 will say, yeah, let's talk and see. And then of those 10 that you talk and see, that means 90 no's. And then 10 maybes. And of those 10 maybes, you might get 1 or 2 yeses. And then you might be able to choose. So all I'm saying here is that it takes a lot of persistence. It's actually work. And it's just developing relationships. So sales is the lifeblood of any and all businesses. Now, you need also marketing, and we'll talk about the role of marketing. In fact, marketing is senior to sales, but you can do all the marketing you want in the world and have everybody know about you and have 1 million leads. But if you can't close the leads, then that's not any good either. So sales truly is where the rubber hits the road. It's where you get revenue from which to do payroll, operating expenses, pay taxes, owner's pay, all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in to my presentation, why sales is the lifeblood of business. And I will be back every day, give you guys some more tips and tricks and whatnot. If you guys have any questions now, this is the time. Hit me up. I will be here for 5 more seconds. You can ask me about catch wrestling, scientific wrestling. You can ask me about anything Cardone. You can ask me about business. You can ask me about politics and religion, but I tend to stay away from it. But I'll answer if you ask. What's up, Stellar Steven? Thank you for the number 1. I appreciate you, buddy. All right. If there's no questions, I'm going to get out of here. I just wanted to give you guys an update on some stuff. If you do want GrowthCon tickets, it's been sold out, but there's been a couple of people that have not been able to go. I had one of my clients bought a $5,000 VIP premier ticket, wasn't able to go. So they've been released back into the pool. So there are a few tickets all the way down to the, I don't want to call them cheap seats because all the seats are good. It's like theater in the round. But the executive tickets are available. You don't get access to the premier or diamond parties, but those tickets are available. So you can hit me in the DM. I will send you the link if you're interested. If you can make it, it's going to be in Vegas. My guess, they have not been announcing who the speakers are. Last year, Grant tried to get Dave Chappelle. Chappelle couldn't make it last minute. And, but got freaking such a stellar lineup. Tillman Fertitta, Donald Trump showed up. It was crazy. Stellar Steven, let's see. He's asking a question. Which manufacturer makes the scientific wrestling rash guards? Not sure how that's relevant. It's called Combat Corner. They are super high end. They are like double stitched. They're American made. Just a great company. And by the way, if you guys want some of those rash guards, we are doing a limited run of both. There's 2 styles, CWO, Catch World Order, and the Chaos Skull. Either one, man, with badass lightning bolt going through them. So you can check that out. DM me. Those are on the Instagram, on the website, that kind of stuff. I'll get you the link if you need help. Appreciate that, Stellar Stephen. Valdivai Elijah. I am totally butchering your name. I'm so sorry, dude. Best person to study from an overhook. Like, what do you mean? Like a wizard? Is that what you mean? All kinds of great people, I would say. I mean, I couldn't tell you somebody that is overhook specific. I don't really. There are these guys that go out there and study everybody else's tapes. I'm not one of those. I am a guy that goes a deep dive on one or two mentors. And so, my mentors have been Billy Robinson, first and foremost, Carl Gotch, Wade Chalice, Dick Cardinal, and then to a lesser extent, but pretty significant, Fujiwara and Gene LaBelle. All of them know how to use a wizard, how to set things up. Billy, in particular, has a whole series of setups from getting a good wizard. And a lot of people don't even do the wizard the right way, or an overhook. I think that's what you're talking about. Water Gun out on YouTube. What's up, dude? I have a few catch questions for you. What did Gotch and Robinson think of Luthez and Satoru Sayama as a real sub wrestler? So Gotch and Thez had times in their life when they got along, but towards the end, Carl did not really have a whole lot positive to say about Luthez. I just relayed that information. That made me a lot of enemies, unfortunately. I have a lot of respect for Luthez. Gene LaBelle had a lot of respect for Luthez, and Billy Robinson had a lot of respect for Luthez. I think that Luthez was fantastic. I think he was a tough guy. I think had MMA existed back then, I'm almost sure he would have gone into it and done well. Very athletic guy, really smooth, very coordinated, good. I mean, just super athletic and knowledgeable. Learned with Ed, said, and tell, right? So anyway, my view of Luthez is this: super talented, had some of the greatest coaches in the world. The problem is he was given, when he came up right at the end of legitimate catch wrestling, and when the work was the predominant way. He came up when the work was, so he still was able to learn the old style in legitimate competitive catch. But when he came in to the NWA and he got the strap, the championship title, when he was like 20, he was protected from that point on, meaning he wasn't having really hard competitive matches. That is required for you to stay at the top of your game. Does this make sense? It's a nuanced, subtle thing. I don't think he was as good as Billy and Carl personally. When I asked guys like Gene LaBelle, Gene said Carl would beat him. Billy said Carl would beat Lou. But that's not to knock any of this. And all of this is speculative. I really don't like these kind of questions, honestly, because we have no idea. I know that, Gotch, with regards to Sayama, I didn't really get much out of Billy about Sayama. I don't even know that Billy really knew much about him, to be honest. Gotch, Sayama is another guy who is super talented, crazy athletic. Tiger Mask. Just go watch some of those matches. The guy was on another level. When I asked Carl about Sayama, he disowned him, like didn't want anything to do with him, not because of technical reasons, but because he said that he would go into the gym and see Sayama basically beating and abusing his students, and Carl called him a bully and didn't want to have anything to do with him. Now, does that have anything to do with Sayama's technical prowess? No. It had to do with philosophy, difference in attitudes, and Carl. But so I know Carl poured a lot of work into him, and I think Sayama is very much a genius, and Shuto is absolutely brilliant, right? So Yeah, I don't know if that helps. Stellar Steven, how long did you train with Noah and Ultimo Dragon? Thanks. So, somewhat. Well, Ultimo Dragon was it was a week-long training camp down in his dojo in Mexico City. It's actually on the outskirts, called Naucalpan is the city. And in 2001, Sonny Ono put forth the option to go train down there, and I was like, dude, it's like, you tell me to jump and I'm going to ask how high. I was like, there. So I went down there. He did not do a lot of the training. I got to meet him. He was a great guy, super nice. It was Jorge. God, I cannot remember his last name. He's a luchador guy. And Shima, they did a lot of the training, but it was with the group T2P. So I don't know if you know Yoshino or any of that group from T2P, but they were more focused not on the acrobatics, but on in Spanish what is known as lave, or the locks, the joint locks. And that's why I was so excited to go down there, because that was my gimmick and my style, is submission wrestling. So with regards to pro wrestling Noah, I wasn't working with Noah officially. It was a satellite dojo that was created in the United States by Donovan Morgan, Michael Modest, Bison Smith, and it was called Pro Wrestling Iron, and made all kinds of great friends. And that was a real pivotal thing for me, because I was getting very disillusioned with pro wrestling. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't like the theatrics. I did like the more competitive aspect to it, but I also was disillusioned with the jiu-jitsu. I didn't like it. I didn't like the lack of takedowns. I didn't like being on my back. And so when we would do practices, this happened also at Ultimo Dragon's gym. I started it there, and I went to that camp in 2001. And then I started with Noah. It had to have been 2002, or with Pro Wrestling Iron, or Pro Wrestling Tetsuo. And I was there for 9 months or a year. And then I graduated from college and moved to LA. And that's when I just went full bore into studying and coaching catch as catch can wrestling instead of pro wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Just focused head first on that. But what I loved at the practices was that we actually wrestled. It was like real grappling under pro wrestling rules. And that's where a lot of this came up. And Sakuraba was coming up in MMA at the same time. And I was like, dude, this is what I want to do. This is my mission in life, to make the rules of professional wrestling competitive again. And so now we see King of Catch, Shoe Pro Wrestling, Scientific Wrestling, all the stuff that's associated with that, right? So I don't know if that helps. Watergun says, thank you so much. No problem. And then he has another question. And I see you out there on Instagram. I don't know what the question is. Ferguson something says, do you do some wrestling? I think is the question. Or sumo wrestling. I don't know. I haven't been able to wrestle since I had my carotid dissection and strokes. That's been since I was 39, and I'm 49. So it's been like 10 years since I've really been able to get on the mat. It is one of the biggest heartbreaking things for me in the world, to not be able to wrestle. It's like, I still wrestle with my boys, my kids, my sons, and that's, I love it, but I wish I could get out there, but I don't want to die. I got one carotid left. I'm riding on my spare right now, so I'm just going to take it easy at this point and just coach. Watergun says, what was your and Billy's relationship with Taking It to the Mat YouTube channel and Yamasaki and that Eric Paulson looking young guy, Brandon Kaiser, yeah, and Brian Yamasaki? I'd love to hear the history on that. Not much history. I'd been in LA and Southern California for the better part of 10 years and had, established myself as a coach and trainer in catch wrestling, but I did not want to live in California any longer because of some of the policies of the state. And they're not very friendly to small business. So my wife and myself, and I had a daughter at that time. We had our daughter, moved to Utah because I had read a report, because this was right around the 2008 financial crisis. Prior, I was working in banking as a quant analyst, and I was privy to some information. I was like, dude, this is going to get ugly. And I started setting us up to move to Utah, which was the only place that was valued on a couple of different valuation indices for home prices. And I wanted to buy a house, and I couldn't do it in California. So anyway, moved out there. And when I was there, I'm like, damn, I don't know anybody. And but I had known Eric, and Eric is just a really great guy. He's really a good, genuine human being. Definitely a wild man. Like, definitely got some crazy ideas, but in the most positive of ways. Like, just a brilliant guy. Anyway, so when I got out there, he was like, "Oh, you got to look these guys up, man. They're my people." And I was like, "Okay." And so I did, and it ended up being a great connection because when I had already been working with Billy Robinson while I was in Orange County and in Los Angeles. And so when I moved to Utah, I needed a place to host seminars with Billy and myself. And so they ended up being the first guys. And then they had this like TV show on closed circuit TV or whatever, like the local cable TV. And they just had great production values. And so we just filmed a bunch of stuff. It was really great. Great guys. Yeah. So Brian Yamasaki and Brandon Kaiser, fantastic humans. Hope that answers you guys' questions. Yeah, I'm a jet. It's been a long day, man. I still got to close a couple deals. We're about to start heading into our spring tour for Scientific Wrestling. We're going to head out hitting Orlando first, and then I'm going to San Diego, Denver, Pinion Hills, Charlotte. I mean, it's awesome, dude. I'm really excited, but I'm gearing up. Plus, we got GrowthCon coming up, so I'm going to be out of pocket for like 4 days, schmoozing and learning. It's going to be amazing. And then Watergun says, "Thank you so much, bro. Love your work." I appreciate that, dude. Thank you. Appreciate that. I make myself available to you guys here and try to share a little bit. If I can be of service to you in a bigger way, whether it's with your business or if it's with grappling, I'm here. Just hit me up in the DMs, or you can go to my website. You can go to No1Coaching.com. That's there's different ways to get a hold of me there. You can schedule appointments and whatnot. Obviously, you can meet me out at a camp. We've been doing them since 2006 now. So that's been a minute. It's crazy. Crazy to think how long. What is that, like 17 years or something? What's up, Rob? Thanks for the thumbs up, dude. We got some questions on Instagram. So sorry, I did not mean to ignore you guys. Let's see. We've got Valdivia Elijah, and I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up. I'm just not good at it. How do you beat someone more athletic than you? Well, that's how I used to have to win, because I mean, I would take my conditioning seriously, but I'm injured, and so a lot of times it is about knowledge. It's about knowing more than the other guy. So I'll give you an example. When I first started in submission grappling, submission wrestling, and jiu-jitsu and catch and all that, when I first started was in 1993 at the Boulder YMCA, because I had a black belt in Taekwondo that I got when I was like 15 at a strip mall, Mile High Karate back in the day. And I thought I was tough. And my roommate was a green belt in judo, and he got sick of my bullshit. I think I beat him up in a boxing match, and he didn't like it. And so he's like, "Well, let's do this judo thing." I was like, "Fine." And he threw me around, ragdolled me left and right. Now, I had been a peewee wrestler, but I'd forgotten about wrestling. I never thought of wrestling as a martial art ever. And then when this friend started doing that, I was like, dude, grappling is where it's at. And what I realized is I could go against all kinds of guys that were way more athletic than me. But if they didn't understand submissions or didn't know as many submissions or setups as me, and I could get them before they got me, man, I could win. So, for me, a lot of it, and that's why I really like the idea, and I branded everything Scientific Wrestling, because I do think knowledge is truly a huge part of it. Athleticism is important as well. I mean, clearly, because now things are different. when I started in 93, sure, you could go in the back of Black Belt magazine and these other magazines and buy instructionals, but there was no YouTube. There was no social media. There was no TikTok or Instagram. So you still could have an edge based on information. And I think you still can, because I do think part of what a lot of people do mistakenly is they follow the herd. And that's one thing that's always served me well, is to zig while everybody else is zagging. And so nobody knew Nelsons, nobody knew cradles, nobody knew leg locks. I just freaking jack people with that shit because they didn't know it and they didn't know how to defend it. Now it's a different time. Now it's different. There's a lot of people know a lot of different shit now, right? But you can always look at like, what are the trends? Where are people going? Like, I still think that cradles and Nelsons are largely underused and misunderstood. I think there's going to be a massive shift towards it now, but I've been doing that since the 90s, right? Because I got caught in it. I got caught in a cradle by my friend Alex years ago, like 25 years ago. And it was like, oh shit. And then I wanted to learn everything about cradles. And I mean, that's how you learn, dude. You learn through failure. That's the best way to do it. So I don't know if that helps. Let's see here. Volvid. I'm just going to call you Elijah. I feel nowadays athleticism matters more because knowledge is so attainable. Wouldn't you say it's easier to obtain knowledge than, dude? But that's again why wrestling tends to now really dominate. I saw it in the late 90s. That's why I switched over. Wrestling really dominates grappling and MMA because they don't just work hard, they work smart. So here's the thing, right? Like, and this is in general, not just grappling. People say, oh, work smart, not hard. That's jiu-jitsu. Wrestling is like work smart and work hard, and then they beat everybody. So to your point, Elijah, I totally feel you. I'm totally on the same page. Nate Hinkson, what was your best leg lock? I liked to do a leg lace and then get the heel hook with the guy's legs crossed. That was my one thing. I mean, so, you know, this is another thing that I think is important for you guys to know. As you transition from being coached to coaching, when you're an athlete and you're being coached, you really only need 3 moves. Honestly, you need a takedown, you need a finisher, and you need to have some sick ass defense. Those are the 3 things you need. Honestly, I mean, look at Jordan Burroughs. He's got that blast double. He has a bunch of other stuff, but that's his bread and butter. He knows it from everywhere. Double wrist lock, right? So for me, I only had a few different things I liked. I really liked Nelsons. I really loved Nelsons back in the day. I loved to do the front full Nelson on people because very few people see it, right? So let's see here. Yeah, Rob McClenny, rather you either, sorry, my phone's so small. You're competing in grappling or MMA, or you have to learn how to wrestle. Yeah, I agree. So let's go out to YouTube and whatnot and Facebook. We've got JC says, thank you for being an inspiration for sports, even after being sick. Yeah, dude, like, so, you know, it's been interesting because I do feel that God nerfed me a little bit. You know, I'm like, man, had I not had my illnesses and sickness and injuries, man, I would have been fucking unstoppable given all the other shit that I've done. But, you know, it put me in a certain place and it's allowed me to still have a massive impact upon something that I love. So I appreciate that. Thanks, JC. Let's see. We've got Anthony Verdon. How would you go about getting back into grappling? Mainly catch. You know, I mean, I'm 50, dude. So I'm going to be real. My shoulder, my knee, my hip, and my spine and my carotid are totally jacked. My testosterone is not what it used to be. Although, you know, no pun intended, knock on wood. Haven't needed any supplements for any of that stuff yet. I've been very blessed in that regard. But I don't know, man. It really kills me. I think this is actually where I find something interesting. There's a difference in the British style. Now, Billy didn't really agree with it per se, but a lot of the people in the UK practice their catch without chokes. Now, I would be more open to doing that because of the damage to my carotid, but then it would also have to preclude neck cranks because neck cranks can cause carotid dissections. You guys should really look up what are the signs of stroke and what are the signs of a carotid dissection. My good buddy Chris Martin, he runs grapplinginsurance.com. He's a survivor of a stroke and a carotid dissection, just like myself. It's a real problem. So I don't know, man. I would really love to get back, but I'm a little old and the risk is palpable. I had doctors telling me not to wrestle for probably 10 years before I actually did retire. And they still hadn't diagnosed me, but they were looking at like some of the cervical damage that I was having. They're like, dude, you're going to end up paralyzed. And I still stupidly kept grappling and beating some interesting guys. I was never, my real period of time when I was a stud, I'm going to be real, was in my before 30. And man, I turned 30 in 2003 and there just weren't a lot of opportunities. And so I was really on the tail end of like what I felt was my strongest time. I don't know if that answers your question. Let's see. Water gun. Billy left Snake Pit, Japan in 2014. No, he left in 2006. What brought him back to America? Did he like working and living in Japan? Yeah, I saw Miyato posted something about 14. He died in 2014, dude. He left Japan in 2000, at the beginning of 2007. And that's when we worked together from 2007 for 7 years until his passing, 2014. So it's an interesting question. He left Japan because he did not want to be there anymore. He felt like he was alone. He didn't know the language very well. He wasn't really making any money. Eric Paulson told me that when he went over there, Billy was living in this little shack and only had like a can of beans, and it was just pathetic. And so, I did my best to change all that and to make his last years just epic, traveling the world. None of that was happening. He was just kind of like kept. And so he wasn't super high on it, but he is very grateful to like guys like Miyato at Snake Pit Japan, because when they found him, he was in a really bad way. He had just gotten out of a divorce and had lost all of his money. He made a lot of money and lost it in the divorce and then in alcoholism for a number of years. And so he came back to America because he wanted to be close to his son and because we were doing stuff like traveling to Europe and to the UK and all around the United States and really making his name known on a big level and impacting actual MMA. That's where he wanted to leave his legacy, was in legit contests, not in the pro wrestling stuff. I hope that helps. I don't know if that helps at all. Carlos, what's up, my man? Hope your knee's doing good. Knowledge is, or maybe easily attainable, but how that knowledge is used is what makes the difference, in my opinion, of course. Yeah. So here's why, people ask, like, there's people out there that go and watch every tape, right? That's what I hear, like Danaher does. That's why he gets kind of accused of ripping everybody's stuff up all the time and not giving credit. I don't really do that. I will, if there's something that's trendy or people are using a lot, I will try to understand it so I know how to counter it. But unless something is really special, I'm not going to use it. And so I just stick with the learnings of the guys that I know are the best. And I've made them the backbone of the scientific wrestling curriculum. And that's Billy and Carl and Wade Chalice. You just don't get any better than that. I mean, just the sheer, they weren't even competitive. They were dominant. They just dominated the entire scene. So I just focus on that. Same with Grant Cardone. There's a million people you could learn from. You could learn, I mean, I don't know. I do not endorse any of these people, but Gary Vaynerchuk or Ed Milet, or Alex Hormozy. I actually do endorse him. He's pretty smart. And it's not knocking those other guys, or Tony Robbins. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying I'm not going to go study with those guys. But I have just like zeroed in on Cardone because the guy resonates with me. Everything I've ever learned, from my master's degree in finance to my 30 years as an entrepreneur, everything he's saying is 100% spot on, but even deeper and more effective than the stuff that I had been learning. And so I just focus on one person to try to master what they've been able to do at a time. And that takes a lot of time to do it, really, you know? So let's see. Elijah blowing me up on, Nate Hinkson, when's the next Shoe Pro? You know, dude, there's just only one me. I need more people, but I've got a guy assisting me. His name's Matt Granahan. He's been around in the scene for a while, and we're trying to drum up interest. Vern Earwood, who is our first American Scientific Wrestler affiliate gym, he's got a fantastic spot, and we're looking to do shows out of his, like a studio show. That should probably be happening in the next, I'm hoping to do it. I don't know if I can do it while we're doing the spring tour. So it may be immediately after the spring tour, do a tournament to belt, possibly light heavyweight, junior heavyweight for Shoe Pro. Hope that answers your question. Elijah says, I know you're not a fan of pulling guard, but truly in a grappling competition against someone who's more athletic, I think it can be a smart decision to take the fight where you're more knowledgeable. Listen, yeah, if you train as a guard puller and don't train takedowns, then yeah, why would you ever try to go? It's just, you're not good at it because you're not trained. You got to train at it. Okay. So yeah, I mean, but you know, is that strategically the best? I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a controlled environment, in a cushy padded room. Sure. Certainly doesn't seem to work out well in MMA statistically. And you know, the street, I don't know. I carry a gun and a knife. I'm not going to worry about a takedown if I can avoid it. But yeah, I mean, whatever you train it's just, you end up, you find whatever you look for. So if you just look to be a guard puller, you're going to find opportunity there. But if you really train yourself to look for takedowns, you'll find those. It's just, what are you actually spending your time doing? If you're spending all your time pulling guard, that is what you will tend to do. It's not rocket science, right? So, yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that question. It's not that I'm against pulling guard. If it works, it works, dude. I think pulling guard, putting myself underneath a human trying to beat the fuck out of me on a planet with gravity, it's just not my first choice personally. Hope that helps. Let's see. Elijah says, recently competed at black belt, up 30 pounds, had way more success just pulling guard, got thrown twice. Okay. Well, I do not know much about your background, my friend. So let's see. Water gun. How is Josh Barnett? Will he compete again in grappling or MMA? I just talked to him last week. We had a nice chat on the phone. We talk, I don't know, maybe every month, every quarter, something like that. Just bullshit. He's a great guy. Solid human being. Just a good person. He did hint that he was going to be doing more, I think, internationally, if I remember. I don't want to speak for him because I cannot remember exactly what he had said. But he's doing well and he is hustling. He's got his wrestling tournament, and I just shared it on the Scientific Wrestling Facebook page, the link for, I think it's the ACWA is his organization, American Catch Wrestling Association. They're doing a tournament. It's coming up. I don't know the date off the top of my head. Maybe somebody in the comments could tell me. Get out there. It's outside LA, like in a suburb, Alhambra, I think. Alhambra or whatever, however you say it. I've been gone from California so long. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that helps, but he's doing great, man. Great human, tough human. I think people sleep. Like, you know, if you watch some of his matches, I think, you know, because at the tail end of his big run, you know, he met up with Gordon Ryan, who's a once in a generation athlete, and, you know, got subbed. Okay. But dude, that run that he had where he suplexed the gold medalist judo guy right on his head when he was running through everybody in all those jiu-jitsu tournaments. I mean, like Dean Lister, like I think people forget how incredibly winning Josh Barnett is, what his record is in his career. That guy's a genius. I'm stoked to have him. He's coming out with Wade Chalice. So it's going to be one hell of a seminar out for coachingcatch.com in Pinion Hills in May. You guys want to sign up? That will sell out. So, all right, guys, we're running on an hour. My first presentation on why sales is the lifeblood of business was only 15 minutes, but we've done almost 40 minutes of Q&A. Carlos is jumping in. He says, February 12th, I believe this is a tournament. Yeah, you can find the link if you go to my Scientific Wrestling Facebook page. Just look up Scientific Wrestling on Facebook. The link is there. Okay. And sign up. And if you're not signing up, get some people to sign up. All right. Elijah says, appreciate your time, brother. Thank you, my friend. Good to meet you. Guys, hit me up if you need anything. You need business. You need a submission wrestling perspective on things. Let me know. I'm here for you guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. Talk to you next time.